So, episode 7, huh? Let me start with this. It's very clear that all these episodes should be longer. With few exceptions, when an episode ends, I'm immediately like, that's it? If the season was longer, with maybe 16 episodes, this episode would have been fine. But we only have 8 episodes, and next week is the finale, so we cannot afford to have an episode like this. The penultimate episode should get you more excited for the finale, yet it made me less excited. I am still excited, mostly because of Baylan. I really want to know what this power that he's seeking is. I'm also curious to know what choices Shin will make. But this is not what episode 7 should be in an 8-episode season. It's pretty clear now that the show will end as soon as the plot starts to really take off. This isn't to say that this episode doesn't have good moments. It actually has great moments. It's just that they are taking place at the wrong time. So let's cover the main 5 bad and good aspects of this episode. The bad. Number 1. Hera's Senator hearing. The dialogue from Senator Xiono in this scene made absolutely no sense. He mentions how everything that Hera reported was a fairy tale, including the Jedi, the false Jedi, and the space whales.
Jedi. False Jedi. Star maps, star whales.
Why would he think the Jedi, in this case Ahsoka, is a fairy tale? The Defense Council knows about Ahsoka. After the New Republic convoy is attacked, the New Republic contacts Ahsoka for help. So everyone in this council should 100% know that Ahsoka is real. What about the false Jedi? They have hologram footage of Shin and Baylan using the Force and killing their whole crew with lightsabers. In the space whales, the whole crew he sent in episode 5 to stop Hera literally saw the space whales with their own eyes. One thing is for him to not believe that Thrawn's return poses a real threat or is even really possible. It's another thing for him to disregard the existence of Jedi, false Jedi, and Purgo as a fairy tale when there are multiple eyewitnesses and actual footage of them. Number 2. Baylan and Shin parting ways. I do understand why they parted ways. It's just that the execution was not done well. It felt so sudden. Yeah, I understand why he did it. He wants Shin to make her own choices. She's always been his Padawan and followed his orders, but she does seem at the level of a Jedi Knight now. If she was part of the Jedi Order, I think she would have been promoted to Jedi Knight already. She's old enough and skilled enough. But it feels like there are some missing scenes from the last episode to this scene that gets Baylan to the point of deciding to part ways with Shin. Also, the way they departed, it seemed like it was supposed to be goodbye forever. He knows Thrawn and Shin will be leaving soon, and he plans to stay as long as it takes to find this greater power, which would likely mean him being stranded here forever. So as a final goodbye, this should have been more emotional because they seem to have such a close bond. Number 3. Baylan breaking his word. One of the key scenes that established Baylan as such an interesting character to me is when he keeps his word to Sabine. He makes a promise, gives his word that no harm will come to Sabine, so when Shin tries to kill her, he actually stops her, saying that he intends to keep his word. I love that moment. But then they backtracked on this. In episode 6, he immediately started showing signs that he does not intend to honor the deal, implying that he's only keeping his word for as long as he sees that Sabine has some use to them.
You still mean to follow through on your promise to her?
I believe she can still be of some use to us.
Which Thrawn then agrees.
I felt she could be of some use to us. You're quite right.
Thrawn gives the order for him to follow Sabine and kill her and Ezra, and Baylan just agrees. But what about I give you my word, no harm will come to you? It's just character inconsistency. So now I don't know whether anyone can trust his word or not. In episode 4, I'd be saying yes. In episode 6, I'd be unsure. In episode 7, I'd say no. I mean, why did he stop Shin from killing Sabine? If it's just to use Sabine, then why did he tell Shin that he intended to keep his word? They then should have written his line to be, Shin, release her. She might be of great use to us. And not,
I gave her my word, and unlike her former master, I shall keep mine.
Number 4. Ezra's power level. Now this is very subjective, but I was expecting to see Ezra be much more powerful in the Force. After so many years, I imagined he spent most of his time meditating in the Force and growing his connection to it. So when he said,
Get inside, I'll handle this.
I got so excited. But then he didn't handle it. Him and Sabine are very lucky Ahsoka showed up because they were about to be executed. So it was very disappointing to not see him be much more powerful than before. He had cool moments for sure, like holding back Shin's lightsaber. But if you refuse to get your lightsaber back, then you better absolutely dominate with the Force. Number 5. Choreography. The best lightsaber fights of the season were definitely the ones from episode 4 and 5. The Ahsoka and Baylan one this episode was good too, but all choreography still falls short of what they should be, by a lot. After the fighting in the prequels, the Clone Wars, and even what I've seen many fans do, this should be so much better. I've seen many fans do lightsaber fights that are 3 times as good as anything Disney has done in live action. So honestly, this is not acceptable. Not when they have millions and millions of dollars. All the fans have is passion, and they can do it better? I guess that's what's lacking. Passion to make these look better. Now on to the good. Number 1, Ezra. Yes, I was disappointed about his power levels here, but his personality and character was perfectly portrayed here. Good job to the actor who played him. He got all his mannerisms and expressions nailed down. He clearly did his homework. All the jokes he was making was just identical to how he was in Rebels. His reaction to Ahsoka training Sabine is the exact reaction he had when Kanan decided to train Sabine. His initial reaction is always to question why Sabine is being trained. It's just brutally honest and hilarious. It was a very nice callback to the Trials of the Darksaber episode in Rebels. Number 2, the return of Ahsoka's personality. Many people were criticizing how stoic Ahsoka was during the season, but now it's pretty clear that it was all intentional. Her meeting with Anakin in episode 5 was the turning point for her. She has been different ever since her fight with Vader in Malachor, but episode 5 brought her back to her old self. So now we can clearly see her former personality coming back. She's just smirking through the fights, making jokes and smiling. All her dialogue with Huyang makes me smile so much. It just makes it all feel more familiar. Like, this is the Ahsoka that I love. It was also great to see her rewatch Anakin's holograms in training. And I found it very interesting that Huyang was not aware of these holograms. This means that Ahsoka has not used them for years. Certainly not ever since she teamed up with Huyang. And likely not ever since her encounter with Vader. It just goes to show how much it wrecked her to find out that Anakin turned so evil. For the longest time, she couldn't even bring herself to watch Anakin's recordings. But in episode 5, she faces Anakin and is now able to watch these holograms again. She's at peace and says that he was a good master. And Anakin really was. These recordings go to show how thoughtful he was. He gave his all to make sure Ahsoka would learn everything he could teach her so that she would be able to protect herself when he wasn't around to protect her. And he did exactly that. She survived because of his training, because he cared enough to teach her as best as he could. Number 3, Ahsoka reaching out with the Force. This was a callback to Luke and Leia communicating through the Force in Empire Strikes Back, but I love to see the Force implemented in ways that help solve problems. The Force is supposed to be a great ally to those who learn to yield it, so I loved that Ahsoka uses it to find Sabine. I also like how Sabine was able to sense Ahsoka back since she has been opening up to the Force, but not nearly to the extent that Ahsoka can. While Ahsoka clearly senses her fully and can even see her,
I see her.
Sabine is only able to sense the familiar feeling of Ahsoka. But this is how a character's skill development is supposed to happen. Slowly acquiring more skills and abilities, particularly when it is done within a show, where you have much more time to do it without rushing it. Number 4, Shin and Ahsoka. First, I must say how cool it was to see Ahsoka so easily handle Shin. It just goes to show the difference between master and apprentice. Every time we see Ahsoka fighting Baylan, she is struggling. When she fights Shin, she doesn't even bother to use her lightsaber. She just so easily beats her. But the greatest moment here is Ahsoka offering Shin help. This is definitely something Ahsoka would do. I think this probably shocked Shin to see this level of compassion toward her, even though she tried to kill them multiple times. She certainly considered joining her, and I think she will later on. This sets up the possibility that we might see Sabine, Shin, and Ezra training together, which I would love to see. Number 5, Baylan. Despite my complaints about some of the writing regarding Baylan, he is the most interesting character in the show. The fact that he's more towards the dark side, but is not Sith, just makes him so intriguing. He's so mysterious and powerful. When Ahsoka went for a fatal strike, trying to decapitate him, and he just simply held her hand, it gave me chills. We haven't seen a new character this powerful in a long time. Every time he is on screen, he has my full attention. I just want to see more of him, so I am so hoping that they don't kill him off. What happened to the actor is so tragic. His performance is such a standout in the show. He made this character essentially universally loved, so I don't know if they plan to recast him or if they kill him off in the finale, but he's certainly the most intriguing character we have gotten in many years. Anyways, I would love to hear your thoughts on the episode down below. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell below. Thanks for watching and have a great day.